What's up, guys? As always, hanging there with us. We lost the connection. We're back. I want to introduce you to a guy that is just, when I tell you energy off the chain, energy off the chain, when you meet this guy, and what I really like about him, we just met, what I love about him, he wears all kinds of hats. No excuses, make it happen, figure out why you can do it versus why you can't. That's what we're going to hit home today. Big time. So my man Randy, how are you, my brother?
I'm doing great, man.
Hey man, I'm glad to finally get you on here. Heard a lot about you. Obviously we're gonna have a lot in common, man, besides the haircut.
Absolutely.
So
we're twins.
We're talking about somebody that's running a sports nutrition company, his own label. We're gonna get into that. He's a preacher.
That's right.
Yeah. And what else? There was another.
I also own a physiques boot camp.
That's it. He owns his own physiques boot camp in Hemet, California.
Right.
So like I said, man, we have a lot in common, wearing a lot of hats, and there's just not enough time in the day. And I always say, you know, our biggest commodity is time, right?
It's time.
We can either waste it or invest it.
That's right.
Right? And it goes so quick. It goes so quick. So I love what you're doing, brother. I'm going to promote you any way I can. So, Randy, tell us who you are, where you came from, what you're doing today, and where you see yourself going. We're going to chunk this down, brother.
All right. You know, it's interesting. I've lived a pretty crazy life, so trying to get all that even into an hour. But, you know, I try to start early. My parents were pastors my whole life.
Okay.
Very poor pastors.
Where'd you grow up?
All over.
Okay, so you traveled.
He traveled. My dad started churches, you know, evangelism, traveled all over the place. Almost like a military kid, you know?
Yeah.
And, but you know, that was good for me, to be honest with you, because I had to learn how to make friends.
Right.
Every 3 to 6 months I was moving. I'd move into bad neighborhoods, I'd move into good neighborhoods, you know?
Yeah.
And so no matter what the race was or culture or anything, I had
to adapt.
I had to adapt.
You had to adapt.
That's right.
Right.
So I made friends very quickly. But you know what? My parents were very poor, and you know, I grew up with this mindset that I didn't want to be like my parents. And what's interesting is that I grew up, I still became a pastor, but I decided that I didn't have to be poor. I could go out on my own and I can create businesses and I could create jobs and I could take care of myself while I was pastoring.
You know, I love that you went there. We're going to talk about that mindset, that paradigm shift that you had to figure out, because I want to dive into that because so many people get stuck with that. So, but before we do, so you grew up, you know, all over the country, and your dad, I'm curious, how would your dad make a living being a preacher if he went from church? The church would pay him to come out?
Yeah, basically my parents, you know, my dad had a job. My dad was always a working pastor.
Okay.
But to be honest with you know, when the church was doing bad, that money would have to come from my parents' money.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we didn't have Christmases. A lot of times our lights were shut off.
Right.
And you know, it did teach me that my parents were legit and they loved people.
Right.
So that was that. I took that from them. They loved people. They were genuine, and I believe that's why it gave me a genuine heart, genuine love for people. But yeah.
Yeah. So in other words, they always put everyone first.
Everyone
first in front of them.
Everyone.
And you know, I always talk about this, right? Is the intention is there, right? So it's pure. But at the end of the day, if you don't put the oxygen mask on first, you can't help the level that you want to help, right? Because you're just limited. And I remember seeing an interview with Oprah Winfrey. Guy said to her, and I knew it was off script, right? He says, "Don't you ever feel guilty for all the success you have?" She didn't even blink an eye. She goes, "Absolutely not." She goes, "Number one, I earned it, but number two, I wouldn't be able to build a church in Africa. I wouldn't be able to give that if I didn't create this success."
Exactly.
And that's what I want to dive into with you, because you've actually figured out how to change that paradigm, because your conditioning was the other way.
Right.
Your conditioning was, if you don't give everything, there's something wrong. Right? Versus kind of going back. You want to touch on that?
No, that was a paradigm shift. Was in my mind, you know. For one, God put a lot of people in my life to teach me another thought process.
Okay.
And so I began to watch these men of God and these businessmen, business owners, people like Paul Pimentel.
Now, how old were you when you started to see these people come into your life?
Well, this is later. I mean, I was already 23, probably 23 years old.
Okay,
and
so before we go there, I got a question, because I'm going somewhere with this, right?
No,
so So 23, 24 years old, they start to appear in your life. But when you look back earlier,
Right.
did you start to think about that? Did that start to come into your mind about how can I be more successful
Yes.
than what I see?
Yeah.
So watch
Yeah,
it,
that's
right?
right, yeah.
So now here's what happens, right? God wants you to be successful, and I don't care whatever this has nothing to do with religion, right? Because God is everywhere in all places, all times. So you can call that universe, you can call it God, whatever works for you. Here's where I'm going with this. Thoughts are things. Quantum physics backs this up. So as he's thinking about this and taking the action and moving forward, what happens? God puts those people and those circumstances
Right.
into your life. I want
No, it's true.
I love to dig into that.
What's really cool is the Bible says, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he.
Yes.
And I was 12, this is true, I was 12 years old
Mhm.
and looking at my parents' struggles
Mhm.
and just thinking, I don't want it, I don't want that life, I don't think I have to have that kind of life. And I could
Love it.
still love people,
Mhm.
but I could love people more if I had a business to give them a job. That's how my mind started thinking. So I actually got a job as an underground landscaper at 12 years old.
Okay.
And I was making $100 a day
Wow.
at 12 years old.
Wow.
I only worked 2 days a week,
Yeah.
because that's all that my parents would allow me to. So they let me go into homeschool.
Yeah.
So I did a job with this guy, and I worked, I made, $800 a month at 12 years old. Bought my own car at 14 and a half years old. Couldn't drive it yet, but I bought a car.
That's awesome.
And that was my goal, was I was going to become someone that could help other people in a grander way.
Right. So there's really no mystery with this, right? He started to think about it, started to take the action, and the people and the circumstances started to come into your life.
Right.
And at the end of the day, the universe wants abundance. They want, we're built to grow, evolve, and expand, and that's what you did. So I love to be able to pull that out, and so people can really see, right,
Yeah.
that it's not, there's nothing special here. It's hard work, right? Focus and moving forward.
There's nothing special, man. I love to tell my churches, the Garden of Eden,
Mhm.
paradise.
Mhm.
And I've heard people say, if we could just go back to the Garden of Eden. But if you read Genesis, it says he put him in that garden to work. That means he gave him a paradise, but he gave him a shovel. And he told him, now you're going to have to dig and name the animals and take care of them and take care of the, So there's always work. So we get this thing, God just wants to bless you. God wants you to get up off your butt and bless yourself.
Exactly.
And as you work, then God sees the hard work. He sees the diligence, the no excuses, and wanting to be bigger than you are. And he says, okay, that's something I want to invest in.
I love that. What I love about life, right, is I always say, you don't make the rules, I don't make the rules. Life makes the rules, and life says you got to earn it, and life is not an enabler. Because listen, we don't want to hear what happened to you. We don't really care.
Right.
What are you going to do today? What are the results you're going to create? And guess what? The more value you bring, the more success you're going to have, and the more security.
Right.
I always say, people are looking for security, right? They want security in life.
Right.
Bring more value.
Right. Bring your security.
Right. Make it. So now you're 24, 25, you're starting to see these guys come into your life, right? And now, the universe, God is saying, you know what, you're becoming that person now, right? Now the timing.
Right.
Now what happens?
There's just so much to say.
Yeah, that's all right. We'll chunk it down.
This guy, Mark Smith, right? I'll give him a shout out. Owns Printing Solutions. I'll be honest with you. First, when God brought this guy into my life, I'll be honest with you, man, it was difficult.
Mhm.
I took it a little wrong. I took his hardness on me and his truth on me to be, picking on me and wanting to hurt me. And it took me a few years to realize, and I wish I could go back through time, that God put this man into my life to tell me the things that no one else would tell me.
Right.
And I wish I would have listened to him then. And now I give him a shout out, because a lot of the things I'm successful in, I go back and say, well, I learned that from Mark Smith, But God put him in my life. He began to put people in my life. I began to listen. I began to take criticism. And, by the age of 21, I was the vice president of a printing company.
Okay.
And moved out of my house, moved into Reynolds Lawn and Tennis Club. and just begin to work hard. I was working 10, 14-hour days. My friends were out partying. I went to a business school, business college, Skadron Business College, and I couldn't get a loan, because I'm Caucasian, was what they told me. So, I had to work. So I worked all night. I worked a night job. I went to school all during the day. And I graduated from there and I got a job at ABI Attorney Services and began to work on subpoenas. But basically, I just realized, I have to work.
You got to figure it out.
I got to figure it out. And I didn't have pride. I didn't say I'm not going to take that job because it doesn't pay enough. I just took the jobs as I could get them. And that one job was a stepping stone to the next job, to the next job. Everything's an opportunity, guys. Let me tell you that. I don't care if you have to work at Taco Bell. That's an opportunity. Because if you go there and you work your butt off and you love people and you do what's right, you're going to meet somebody at Taco Bell, because it's gonna come to you.
As long as you're willing to change that paradigm. And let me ask you this, because I'm a big guy on your why, right? I believe when your why is big enough, or when your why becomes bigger than you, you become unstoppable. At that time in your life, going through those smaller jobs, right? What was your why? Could you identify your why then? What was it? I'm curious.
I don't know, probably two whys, and one I kind of mentioned. One was, and it sounds bad, I don't mean it disrespectful to my parents, I don't. Because a lot of what my parents taught me is why I'm who I am.
Sure.
But a big why for me was why do I have to live, why do I have to have nothing?
Right.
I don't. And so my why was, I'm going to have something. Nobody's going to keep this from me. And no one's going to give it to me, so I'm going to go and I'm going to take it.
And you want to know something? I'm going to touch on something, because I know where you went with that, about saying, hey, I don't mean this in a disrespectful way. Here's the bottom line. Any parent that truly loves their kids wants to see them do better than them. It's evolution, it's growth, it's expansion. If they don't, that's the issue they need to figure out. So I know what you're saying, because I go through that same thing, but at the same time, just so people are clear, there's nothing. It's actually, it's a healthy thing to look at it that way. No matter what level your parents were at, right? You want to move up. You want to leave your own legacy, move up and figure it out, whatever that is for you. Is that, would you, exactly?
It's perfect.
Okay.
It makes sense. I have 3 kids.
Okay.
And I want them to be more successful than me.
You'll do whatever.
I'll do whatever it takes. And even now, I sit down with my kids and I talk to them about my businesses and I share with them what's happening, how many stores picked me up that day. I talk to them about margins. And, my one son, Silas, he's great with numbers. And I tell him, man, you better just keep being good with those numbers, because, you're going to be the one running
the back end
of my company. And then my son, Jack, he's just charismatic. He's out there. He makes friends. He's not scared of anything.
He's going to be your front runner.
And I tell him, you're going to be out there selling this company, And then my daughter's like, I don't want to do nothing. I said, well, you're my daughter. You might not have to.
There you go. Let's keep it real, right?
Let's be real.
So, are your parents still around?
Yeah, they're still around.
How do they feel about what you're doing?
I think they're happy. I think it's kind of surreal for them. To see me do it. Part of it was they were taught a mentality by an old fellowship, and that's why they kind of did the things that they did. And I hope that even the paradigm shift, I love that word. My father-in-law used to use that, Pastor Mike Neville. That's the paradigm shift, is that you don't have to do it a particular way.
You got to do it your way.
You can do it your way.
Do it your way. Right? And we were talking about that. We're going to go somewhere else now, right? Because we were mentioning that before we went on. We're living in unprecedented times. We're living in a time that we build our own brand on our own terms, at our own level, right? So now all that leverage can come back, because this business here is a whole nother animal before the internet. You have to get in line. You have to hope that your ticket is pulled, right? In order to get in front of the people that you can get in front of today, versus, it's a game changer.
Oh yeah. Sales is numbers. I learned that at Printing Solutions. So this was I feel old now, 20 years ago. But back then, what Mark Smith would tell me was, hey man, go see 1,000 people. And you're gonna have to, because only 1-2% of those people will call you back. So So don't go see 10 and get depressed and get anything. Go see 1,000 and get the 2 or 3 people. You know?
Right.
But now that's the beauty of what you're saying is I can go to 10,000 people this afternoon
With a click.
with the click of a button.
With a click.
Right.
Yeah. And the thing is, though, it still hasn't changed in the fact that what Randy's saying is sales are numbers, but make no mistake, it's tied directly in and follows the relationships. And I think that's where a lot of people fall down with social media because they think they're just throwing up on people, right?
Right.
Instead of creating relationships, right, the give and take. If that means sharing other people's stuff because number one, you believe in it, number two, you want to support them, and you want them to support you instead of just throwing all your stuff on them, right? But think about this, even back then, right? I used to do cold calling. We're doing 50 cold calls a day, business to business.
Yeah.
It's a numbers game, but unless you can build relationships and bring value to the table, it's such a short-term game plan.
Oh, it is.
Is that what you found?
It's all about relationship. Part of what I do is if you go on I have 3 Instagram accounts, is I promote other people.
Mm-hmm.
There's other brands. I put Legacy Labs, Relentless Labs, Brother Chris, amazing companies. And how I look at it is we don't have to be competition.
Create, not
We
compete.
can create with each other,
Right.
work together, lift each other up. You're going to see people I'm not. I'm going to see people you're not. Why can't we connect? And I lift my athletes. I throw their names out there. Josh, that was on your show.
Yeah.
I want everybody to be lifted up.
To win.
To win. And we can all win together.
And you know where this comes from? You're talking to the fear barrier guy. This comes from a courageous state, knowing who he is, what he brings to the table. So when you start to compete, we're not talking sports, we're talking this, right? When you start to get into that competing mindset, 2 things it does. It's coming from a fearful state, and it's also taking your focus off of you. And when you start here's when you know you're winning in your industry. When the other people are focusing on you more than they're focusing on themselves. That's when you know you're dominating your industry.
Totally.
And listen, it's all about you want to win. There's no question about it.
Absolutely.
But Gary Vee put it great. Gary Vaynerchuk, he puts it perfect. You know what he says? He says, I want to build the biggest building in the city, but I want to do it without tearing down the other ones.
There you go.
What else can you say?
That's it, man. I'll go into supplement shops, and we talk about relationships.
Yeah.
I don't just social media, and that's what a lot of my shops love about me. I go and visit them. I don't go to visit them to try and sell them anything. I just go visit them. I show up, how you doing, talk with them, how's your family, and then of course maybe some of their customers come in, hey, you're that guy, and we talk, and I just talk, and then I leave. But I believe in relationships. I just lost my train of thought.
That's all right. But I'm going to ask you something. Obviously, you train, and it's a big part of your life, right? And it's mine as well. It's my iron therapy. My alarm goes off at 4:30 every morning, 7 days a week. I'm at the gym 7 days a week, sometimes 2 a day. If I'm having a rough day, it's a 2 a day, right? That's my happy hour, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a big, big part of your world. How long has it been a part of your world?
I started, it's funny, I started working out when I was 18.
Okay.
And I just started working out as I can't even say a hobby. I was really in my room doing some curls. My big brother Ross came in and he said, hey dude, you're never gonna get big.
Oh yeah, he set the seed. He lit the fire.
He lit the fire. I was 145 pounds at 6'1".
Really?
And several years later, I was 270 pounds at 6'1", because I was going to prove my brother wrong.
Right. Lit that fire.
And I remember he would tell me, bro, you're done. Stop. Okay. I was wrong.
There's your why.
Yeah.
Right?
That became my why. It's like,
yeah.
I'm a rebel.
Right.
It's kind of funny. I'm a pastor, but I'm a rebel, man. If you tell me I can't do something, I will kill myself to make it happen.
And see what I love too, the reason we connect as well, is you just said something that's really hits home, is you're a rebel, but you're still a pastor.
Right.
How many people, right? How many pastors look like this? Not many. How many motivational speakers look like this? Not many. When I go into the corporate world, just did one in La Jolla. When I walk in, they're trying to figure out, they look at me like I have 3 heads, yeah. Or they think I am security, but there's a motivational speaker. So, but what I love about this is, see, at the end of the day, it's all about knowing who you are, embracing it, running with it, and keeping it real, because time is the big equalizer.
Right.
Time will always show the real eventually. Is it?
Time is a real indicator of
Yeah.
hard work. You know, I mean, people in the gym ask me, "Hey, how long before I look like you?" I tell them, "Well, I don't know. I've been doing this 22 years.
Right.
I don't know. I can't give you that number because it's a lot of time. It's a lot of hard work."
You don't know what their you don't know what their work ethic is. You don't know how bad they want it. You know, genetics have a little bit to do with it, but still, at the end of the day, it's the heart. When I had my sports nutrition store, people would come in, they want meal plans, and I'd sell them the product, whatever they needed, and then I'd break it down for them. They'd say, "Well, can you guarantee that?" I go, "No, I can't guarantee this." And they go, "Why? Why?" I said, "Because I don't know if you're going to take this and throw it in the trash. I don't know if you're going to put it in your cupboard, never open it again, or I don't know if you're going to take this, 8 days in a row, hit the gym, and then quit, or you might be, who knows, next door in Yates.
Right.
What do I know? But all I do know is time will tell. Because next time you walk in, we're going to know. We're going to know what you did.
It's time, it's consistency, and that's with everything. This lady came in one day in the gym, she said, "Hey, I saw this commercial for 5-minute abs."
Yeah.
She's like, "What do you think?" And this was my response. Her name was Andrea. I said, "Andrea, let me ask you a question. Tell me anything in life, if you give only 5 minutes a day, what's the return? What's the return? How successful can you get?"
Right.
And she's like, "Well, probably not successful." And so, well, then there's your answer. If you're going to give 5 minutes to fitness, you're never going to be fit.
What's your ROI? Your return is going to be 5 minutes, right? It's going to be 5 minutes.
It's 5 minutes worth.
Exactly, and that's so much. So started at 18, you started to grow like crazy, you had your why.
Right.
Then eventually, I would imagine, right, and tell me if I'm wrong, but eventually it became such a lifestyle change that your brother's fire probably shifted. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, well, yeah.
So somewhere along the line?
Yeah, I began to motivate people.
Okay, okay,
Everybody started working out around me.
okay.
I became a personal trainer, started working in gyms, became a fitness manager. Up until today, I own my own studio, training people. So it was great. It transformed my life and began to transform everybody around me.
So when you went from that 145
Right.
to, I know you went to 270, right? But let's just say let's just bring it back, right? Because that's the end part of it. But say you went from 145, you start to see yourself around 210, 220. How did you feel? How was your self-image? What was the change, really?
The change was great.
That's what I want to share.
Here, when I first started going into the gym after my brother said that, I went and hired a trainer.
Okay.
His name was Eric Brake. Big bulldog, 23-inch arms. I love this guy. And I went in to work out with him, 145, and they called me the Worm.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time this guy was done with me, they called me the Polar Bear because I had white hair. So I went from the Worm to the Polar Bear. But like you said, it was in the middle. I'm probably like 185 even. At 185, I started getting comments. People started, really noticing. I started feeling more confident, and just wanting to experience more things because I began to realize, what I thought I couldn't do, I could do.
Right.
And I started that journey because I was told I couldn't. But as I saw the consistency, as I saw the hard work beginning to pay off, I thought, well, how much more could I do?
Yeah.
And how much more could I do?
And it started to build that self-image, right? That you just can't buy.
No.
It's just, and that's what I want to share with people because your physical transformation is what it is, right? But that the mental, the subconscious, right? The mind starts to just become that different person,
yes.
right? That person that when you walked into a room at 18 versus 23, two different people.
Oh, completely.
Right?
I mean,
two different people.
Reactions were different, but even I was just different.
With you inside.
And it wasn't, I didn't walk in with arrogance, but I walked in with confidence.
Yeah.
I know who I am.
Yep.
And nobody can change that. Nobody can do anything to make that any different than what I allowed
And you know what? You need to find that for you, whether it's the gym, whether it's tennis, whether it's golf, whatever that is, find that zen. I always call it your zen because that's my zen, is I get the best ideas in the gym. I just get the clearest head when I walk out. Walking in from walking out is two different people. I mean,
You know, if I'm stressed out, I'll
Yeah.
throw in a gym session in there.
Yeah.
You know, I get my best sermons in the gym. Because I use a lot of props. When I preach, I'm really calm right now. When I preach, I get crazy. And I get all those ideas while I'm lifting weights.
Yeah,
when
me
I'm in
too.
the gym.
Yeah, me too.
Flavors and business ideas, you know.
Everything.
Exactly.
It just flows. It just flows. So I could tell we were definitely on the same page with that. So now bring us a little farther in. Now you're in your 20s, your late 20s, 30s. What's going on?
30s, you know, I met my wife and
Right.
Michelle, the fairest lady in all the land. And you know, I met her. We got married. You know, I'm still trying to kind of figure out who I am when it came to business.
Okay.
It's funny, I told her I will never be a pastor. Her dad started our fellowship.
Wow.
Our whole fellowship, Pastor Mike Neville. And so I told her, I said that my parents are pastors, your parents are pastors.
Wow.
I'm never going to be a pastor.
Now, did you meet in church?
And we met in church.
Wow.
And I told her I will love God and love people. I'll go to church, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to be a pastor. And she was okay with that. And you know, just as time went on, and I began to I don't know, fall in love with people, and I kind of just surrendered my life to, you know what, I want to do what God wants for me.
Mm-hmm.
And when I surrendered to that, it's crazy. It's such a long story, but I ended up starting a young adult ministry, and I began to work with young adults, and it just exploded. We ended up with 4 locations over 4 years, and God began to move in that so powerfully, just getting young kids off the street, off troubled lives, and through that, I actually ended up becoming a pastor of a church. And so by 33, I think it was, by 33, then I'm up in the church and I'm pastoring and I'm working, but from there, my life gets really crazy.
Okay, and before we do that, Marion, I know some people jumped on with some comments or questions.
Yeah.
All right.
Jasmine Lynn.
Jasmine, that's my girl, Jazz.
She says hi, Dave. And then Victoria Gilbert says hi, guys.
Hey, Victoria,
What's up?
thanks for jumping on.
Now, Mark Benson, he goes, Dave, what's up, my brother? Changing the thought process must be practiced. And then was agreeing with what you were saying true.
Yeah, it's that paradigm shift, man. You have to, and I always tie it in with lifestyle change, right? Instead of we're talking about working out, that 4-letter word diet, right? It has to be a lifestyle change, and I think that's so important.
No, it is. I don't believe in diets,
Right.
Because you're gonna fall on and off of a diet.
It's a bad game plan.
It's a bad game plan.
Right.
You change the way you eat, period. And it's done.
Right, and I think anything with life, right? You had to change your paradigm shift from thinking that being guilty for not wanting to be broke,
Right.
To where now it became a lifestyle.
Right.
A lifestyle. So it's all about personal, professional, physical, spiritual. It doesn't matter what pillar of life. It has to become part of you, part of your identity. If not, it's short term. I know we have a few other people, Marion.
Yeah, Keenan White.
Keenan,
What's up?
my boy from Miami, killing it out there,
Yeah.
killing it. Keep making it happen, brother.
Yeah, it says cultivating the right relationship is the key ingredient to happiness. We're here to excel, not compete.
100%, 100.
And then Nicole Nygaard is saying creating relationships is the key to networking. Awesome.
Absolutely, and her husband was just on Friday. Tom, what an awesome guy, man. Energy off the chain. So thank you, Nicole. Tell Tom we said hello.
Well, no, Tom left a message and said, okay, I better get my flight in the gym today.
Attaboy.
Yes.
Attaboy. We're making it happen, brother. We're making it happen.
That's what it's all about.
That's right. We're doing it by will. Anybody else, Marion?
Josh Bryant, best pastor ever.
That's your boy.
That's my boy.
Hey Josh, thank you for hooking us up, man. We're gonna stay connected. I think there's some things we're gonna be able to do down the road for sure, man. Thank you, brother.
Absolutely. I love you, Josh.
And James Shelby
James Shelby.
Man,
What's up, brother?
realtor in the house.
Yeah, he's a realtor.
He is,
He's the kingpin of realtor.
He is, man. Now there's a kid. He understands work ethic. He gets it done. He laces his boots up. We had him on our show.
I love James Shelby. I turned someone on to him and told him, dude, this guy is a beast.
Isn't he?
And I'll tell you what, man, that guy has just told me every day, oh my God, who is this guy? Sold him a house in one day, just
a beast. And
took care of him.
But so legit, so
Absolutely.
real. And what I love about James, the minute I met him, we connected on social media. What you see is what you get, man.
Yeah,
And that's what I love.
He's cool, and he's a good dresser, man.
Yeah, he's GQ.
He's dapper. He's on his dress.
He's GQ. Hey, man, James, thank you for jumping on, brother. Anybody else?
Yeah, we have Vernon Martin,
Oh, okay. Thank you for jumping on.
Thanks, Mark.
and they say, what an inspiration. Thank you, Dave, for bringing to us the most amazing real people. I praise God for your life. Lots of love from Milford, Connecticut.
Yeah, Bruna, she's awesome. What a great girl, and definitely make sure that you connect with this guy. You are going to connect with him big time. She's awesome. What a great girl out in Connecticut. Thank you, Bruna, for taking the time and jumping on. And you want to connect with Randy for sure. You guys have a lot in common. Anybody else, Mary?
Yeah, we have Alan. Okay.
Muzaraka.
Okay.
Is that you, Alan?
You got
This is the guy.
Yeah.
I told you my life got crazy. You know,
Yeah.
Saturday night, I'm in the studio producing a rap album, singing the hook, rapping with this guy, Alan Thomas Music. Check him out. Follow
Awesome.
his Instagram, Alan Thomas Music. I'm actually on a couple of his CDs, but I'm on his next CD coming out. So I have a lot of hats.
That's awesome. So when we jump off, right, when you jump back on, just put all that info.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be able to put your info. So, Marion, we'll come back. So now we're at the point where your life's starting to get a little crazy,
Yeah.
right? We're making a left turn instead of a right. Is that what's going on?
Well, it's just crazy, man. I never asked to go anywhere. You know, a lot of pastors, they request, hey, have me come. You know, they put out like, I'm available, have me. They put out. Never did that. And suddenly I'm getting requested. So I've gotten to travel the world, man. I mean,
Wow.
I've been down in Brazil working at orphanages, helping kids. I've been in Northern Africa with the Ofar tribe. They've never had clean water.
Wow.
Ever. It doesn't exist. And Billy Hall took me out there and we dug wells and we dug pipeline and we brought the Ofar tribe water.
Wow.
They've never had clean water. So when we gave them water that looked like this, they actually would make other people drink it.
They didn't know
to
what
see
it
if they
was.
would die.
Yeah.
Because they said, this is a magic. You're trying
Yeah.
to hurt us.
Wow.
Never seen water that clear. And so we brought them water. Same thing as lifting people up. This is what I love to do. But I got to start to travel the world. I've been everywhere, London, Turkey, Northern Iraq, I mean, everywhere. And,
Wow.
Estonia.
Wow.
And just going and getting to preach and, tell people about the word and help them in many other ways. So, it's just the one thing is I've seen preachers travel and just preach. But when you go and you preach and then give clean water and give a meal and medical services, to me that's you're really showing them who God is versus just telling them who God is.
Yeah, you're
So
connected. Well, I mean, you're
it's
different
relationship.
connection. Major.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got to start traveling the world, which was insane. And then God brought into my life this man, Paul Pimentel, who is a millionaire preacher.
Okay.
But not from his church. He started a cable, Pimentel Communications.
Okay.
And just began to work really hard,
Just
bust
blew
his
it up.
butt, pastoring, working, 20-hour days, and now he's a millionaire. And God brought him in my life, and we sat down. And I was telling him just how I feel about everything, and he said, "You know what, Randy? It's okay, man. Like, it's okay to be rich.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I have all these people have jobs. All this money that goes into in fact, a lot of the places I went and traveled." It's money from his company that made that possible in our fellowship. And he began to really help me shift my mindset.
That's awesome.
That you're going to be able to help a lot more people if you become successful. And so that guy really just helped release something in me.
And here's what happens too. Again, it's not by mistake. He started to move down this road at 12 years old.
Right.
You started the thought process, which now goes into the subconscious, and then that you start to act it out. In his 20s, some people came into his life at a level that he was at himself. Now, further down the road, he's bringing himself up another level as a person.
Right.
So now, right, life says, okay, now you're ready for this next person. If they brought that person into your life at 22 years old, it would have never been the same impact.
Yeah.
You weren't that person. You got to become that person. That's why you can't run from the hard stuff. You can't run from the struggle, because it creates strength.
Oh, I say this: excuses are the nails we use to build a house of failure.
Yep.
You can't have excuses.
Right.
So you have to grow, though. I mean, and it's true what you said. I wasn't ready at 20.
You weren't that person.
And so it didn't come to me, you know. And I wish that, now, of course, now I look back and think, man, I wish I would have been ready. But that's part of what I like to do now. Is my job is I want to help other people get there a lot sooner.
Yes.
So that they, you know, they don't have to wait.
Absolutely. And I know we're talking about the pastor with $1 million, right? And people that there's always going to be people that think negative, right? And that's the reality.
Totally.
And as I mentioned to you earlier, I live my life in intention.
Yeah.
My intention is pure. I'm bulletproof. Now I can put my head on the pillow, and I know. Just from the stories that I've heard, the interviews that I've saw with Joel Osteen, a lot of people think that there's something wrong because he's so successful. No, he actually had a lot of the same story you did. He didn't want to do what he was doing. His dad passed away. His dad built that foundation, and he didn't want to do that. And I don't know a whole lot about the guy, but what I do know, the energy that comes through to me, it seems genuine. And at the end of the day, if he built it legit, God bless him, man. God bless him. If you learned it.
A lot of the money that, you know, say Joel Osteen has came from his books.
Yeah, that's what he said.
It's not from the church.
That's what he said. Yeah.
And that's my goal. See, the fact that I want to have money and do that is not, my mind is never from the church.
Right.
So that's why I have two companies.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I want to bring money into the church, not take it out of the church. But yeah, you know, people do have a negative, and that's actually why Paul was talking to me, because he said, I know that part of your struggle is that people have this look, you know, and he's like, who cares? Get over it and do these businesses. And so I did. I went for it. And you know what? It's crazy. As soon as I was ready to do it, God brought Bob Bindles into my life. And Bob Bindles is an incredible man that told me one day, I was working at a gym training him. And he said, you know what, Randy? He's like, why don't you own your own gym? And I said, oh, I would love to own my gym, Bob, but I don't have any money. He said, I rebuke that spirit. Do you want your own gym? I said, well, of course I do. He said, then let's pray, man. And we began to pray. And it was 3 or 4 weeks later, I owned my own gym. And it's a crazy story. People started sending me money randomly. You know, money came in envelopes. A guy came and gave me a $5,000 envelope. My Uncle Ross invested into me. It was crazy. And suddenly there I am owning my own physiques boot camp.
Let's back up a little bit though, right?
Yeah.
So it's loud and clear.
Right.
Break down for them the action that you had to take. You prayed.
Yeah, I prayed.
But you didn't just stay on the couch, right?
No.
Okay. So give them the real behind the scenes. You know,
Real
the dirt.
behind the scenes is, you know, I had to take a leap of faith.
Right.
And so I went home and told my wife, you know, I'm gonna quit. We give 2 weeks notice. Always give 2 weeks notice. I said, but I'm gonna give 2 weeks notice. I'm gonna quit. She said, what are you gonna do? I said, I'm gonna own my own gym. She said, where? I said, in the church parking lot. Didn't have any money, you know. And she said, well, we don't have any equipment. I said, I've been training people 20 years, man. I don't need equipment.
Right.
You know. I said, I'll beat them up in a parking lot.
Right.
And she's like, man, you're crazy, but you know, when I make those crazy decisions, there's a purpose.
Yeah.
And she's like, I learned to trust you. Let's do this, you know. And so I did that. And yes, that money was coming to me, but I had to come up with the other half. And I had to do some wild things to get that money. But as I saw that God was investing in me, I was, you know, how could I disrespect that? So I did whatever it took. You know, it's a long story, but I got it all. I ended up having to finance half of the gym. I got lucky. I was able to finance it. And then, you know what? I've worked 14 to 18-hour days at that gym, 6 days a week for 2 years. And it's a lot of hard work, but I just paid it off.
Yeah. Oh man, congratulations, brother. See,
2 months ago.
and you know what? At the end of the day, I'm not going to let him go there. He didn't get lucky. He created his own luck.
Right.
And that's the deal. He created his own luck. I just did a post today. You got to create your own luck. And if you think that somebody's lucky, right, you haven't seen behind that black curtain.
Right.
You didn't see those 14, 15, 16, 18-hour days, one after the other after the other. I just had my one of my girls that works with me, she called me yesterday afternoon. I'm heading down to Chula Vista to look at a job, and she says, "Oh my God, it's Sunday. It might bother me." I said, I just, this is what I don't have boundaries. Just let's do this. But it's whatever works for you, right? What works for me might not work for you. You just got to know what works for you and move forward with it. But I just want you to. There's nothing to do with luck here, man. This is hard work.
And, you know, we can go back a little because, see, I had clients that followed me.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason those clients followed me was because for 20 years I trained them at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. I put work, sweat, and tears into that. I built a reputation on hard work. And, you know, other trainers in the gym had 1 cert to get the job.
Mm-hmm.
I had 5. Didn't have to. But if I was going to train people, I was the guy that said, I'm going to really know what I'm talking about. So I went to school over and over and over again, even though I didn't have to. So you got to put the work in. You got to put the time in.
And I want to do another. I want to go in another direction too, because I love having you here because it's the I call it the excuse crusher. So now the other excuse we hear all the time is I travel, so I can't work out. Okay, you've been everywhere in the world. What do you do? How do you do it?
You got to work out.
How do you do it?
Prison workout.
Right?
Yeah.
It's whatever. It's part of your day.
It's part of your day. You know, if it's push-ups, you know, if it's push-ups, if it's isometrics, you know, if it's having your friend in the hotel room sit on your shoulders, prison workouts. I mean, it's funny. I've been in my hotel with 2 jugs of milk.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I got to do 300 reps, but you know what? I'm not going to sit there and say, well, I've got to do 300. You know, I'm okay, then I got to do 300.
Right. It's just part of your day.
Part of you. You can't get the food. You know, people tell I can't stick on meal prep because I travel.
Mm-hmm.
I just stood on meal prep. I went to Farmer Boys and had them just give me a 2 chopped chicken breasts, chop up 2 chopped chicken breasts with nothing, and give me an iced tea with no sugar in it. So you can always
figure it out.
You
got it. And that's what separates the real from the fake, the real from the pretenders. When stuff like that hits, like when I was telling you, it was in Arizona, I was like a gypsy down the state, and it was just all day long, all night, but I still didn't miss a workout. Because it's being part of who you are. It's part of your identity. And at the end of the day, I'm so thankful that my outlet is the gym versus some other vices.
Some other vice.
Right? Some other vices that people are go to.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I don't know if you guys can see, I've got big bags, right? And a lot of people, I was telling this before the show, people say, hey, you always look tired. But you know, my father-in-law, Pastor Mike Neville, used to say the kingdom of God is won by tired men. You don't win life because you're lazy. You're not going to win life because you're comfortable. And so, yeah, I might look tired all the time, but I'm living the dream. You know, and I would rather work 80 hours a week for myself than 40 hours a week for somebody else.
And you know, when I love that you went there because there's 2 words that everyone wants to capture, right? And that's happiness and success.
Right.
And my definition of success is living life on your terms, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. And happiness is fulfillment. When you're fulfilled, you're happy.
Right.
When you're successful, you're living life on your terms.
Right.
And that's what you've been able to do.
Right.
Under your terms.
Because you know what? I'm tired, right? Of course I'm tired. It's a good tire.
Right. It's like a gym. It's a good sword.
It's a good sword. It's a good tire.
Right.
So even people say that, you know, are you tired? I say, yeah, I'm tired, but in a good way. And they'll look at me like, that doesn't make sense, but it does make sense, you know? So, so when people tell me I can't do that because I'm tired and I know their day is one job, right. I'm kind of offended because I'm like, man, I got to work, I got to, preach tonight, I got a leaders meeting, I got to train 10 people tomorrow, and I got to do modern body labs,
Right.
There's nothing good like being tired.
No, it's accomplishment. You feel accomplished.
Right.
You feel like, and at the end of the day, why are you here, right? That's got to be the question. Are you just going through the motions? Right. Why are you here? And I just want to say, you guys, and I know you're getting a lot of value out of this, share this. Get this out here. Get his message out here. Help him get the message out. Share this live stream. Throw out those hearts. Let us know you're there. And Randy is going to jump on later and acknowledge everyone and ask him questions. That's why he's here. That's what he does for a living. He loves to give that value. So,
Absolutely.
how did it all transform now into the supplement company? Because I love that, man.
This is what I really wanted to do.
Okay. For how long?
When I was probably 20, at least 20.
Since you started working out?
Since I started working out.
Okay.
Because I fell in love with supplements.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I'm the guy that goes on, buys books and reads, okay, glutamine, good for recovery.
Right.
Why? So I began to really study. So I've been actually making my own blends and stuff for years because I wanted, stuff that actually worked. I couldn't find it in the stores.
And you knew what you were taking?
I knew what I was doing. I knew what I was in my body. Because a lot of these I don't have a proprietary label. A lot of people use a proprietary.
Yeah.
You don't really know what's in there.
Break that down. What does that mean? There's people that don't understand.
Proprietary label means you look on the back of, I know you probably can't see this real well, but every ingredient is listed out separately and the exact amounts. You can find everything and Google everything and the amounts and everything. A proprietary label, they just throw a whole list of everything that's in it, but you don't know how much of each one is in there.
Right.
And so the first ingredient is usually, if you Google it, a very cheap ingredient. Because what they do is they make that most, it has to be listed first.
And that's the most in it.
And that's the most in it.
Yeah.
So you're going to probably find the ingredient you're looking for is at the end of that list, which means there's barely any of it in there.
Yeah, and see, I love that it's the education. When I had my sports nutrition store, one of the coolest moments I had, right, is we would always, our thing was, you're going to get more information when you walk in. You're going to leave with more information than you walked in with, whether you like it or not. Right. That's just how we roll. And I had a guy come in, it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it was a Wednesday, and he comes in, and he's been in a lot, right? And he comes in, and he's all pissed off. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? He's like, man, I just fought the traffic, come from San Marcos to come up to Vista, the 78 was bumper to bumper. And he goes, I wasn't even going to come here, but I'm out of protein, and I stopped at this other place down by me, and I asked him where his time-release protein was. And the guy points over there, and he looks on the back, and he says, no, this isn't time-release, this is just whey, right? It's just whey. He says, no. Because of the education that he got in our store, he put it back, he knew, right? He knew, and that's value. Right. That's bringing more value than the other guy, and that's what I like about what you're sharing.
A lot of it is education, and that's what my brand is going to be, education. If you go on my Instagram, I put up little videos, and I try to explain like one ingredient at a time, because you don't get that with most things.
Yeah.
You can even walk into some sub shops, and they can't even explain to you.
And here's the other reason why, and I'm sure you're on the same page with this, is when I was younger, because I started wrestling in 4th grade, being an athlete, right? But when I started to take supplements, I was moved in the direction of what they wanted to sell, and I wasn't getting the results. And that was my chip on my shoulder. When I opened my store, I go, that ain't happening here, right? We're selling we're going to give you what you need, not what we need to sell off of that shelf. Totally. That's the bottom line. Yes. And I got misled, right? Because I didn't know. Right. Wasn't educated, didn't educate myself. And I'm taking these supplements going, this isn't working, man.
I spent a lot of money growing up.
And time.
A lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of frustration, because you walk in and you're asking, maybe you'll go and you ask whatever it is, I want creatine. Oh no, but bro, what you really need is this testable.
You want guidance.
There's got to be education in it, guys. And that's what I want to do. Hopefully if you begin to follow me. And even if you send me DMs, I love answering questions. I'm that guy. So if you text me and say, why did you put niacinamide in your Vicious? I go, I can't wait to explain this. I want you guys to know why I put certain things in there.
I love that, man. And it all goes back to your passion, living your passion, because it doesn't feel like work, right? And we were talking about that. When you pastor, it doesn't feel like work. You could do it. When I do this show, I'm going to do it nationwide. I just want to go from town to town to town. And when you find that, it becomes your oxygen. And I don't know another way to put it, but it actually becomes your oxygen. Before we move on, Marion, did we have anybody else jump on with a comment or a question?
Yeah, we had Evan Williams.
Okay.
He goes, hey Dave, love the live talk.
All right. Thank you, Evan. Thanks for jumping on, pal.
And
Uh-huh.
Says that's right.
All right.
Come on, somebody.
You so Frank is what Evan Williams says, Frank.
Awesome.
Okay. And Victoria Gilbert, she says, a vision plus hard work that says in happy life. Yep, absolutely, be real.
Uh-huh, 100%.
And Evan Williams says, you're welcome, Dave Daley, moderator. Motivator.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you for taking the time out and jumping on. Very much appreciated. So big man, give us a day. How do you start your day in a certain way? Do you have a routine?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I wake up and I pray, and I usually sing a couple of worship songs on my way to work.
Okay.
So that's my start. Because for me, if I give God glory first, it sets my mind right. Plus, sometimes I wake up and I need to talk to Him because I'm tired.
You got a lot on your mind, right?
I got a lot of. My mind never shuts off. You know, part of why I'm tired is I'm just that guy when I lay down, I get ideas and just so I'm up all night. But I do that, and then I get to my gym. So I get there about 5 o'clock, and I train 5 or 6 people in a row. So I train about 6 people, and then after that, I leave there, and I usually go do my workout.
Okay.
So I'll murder myself for an hour and a half, 2 hours. Then I leave there, and I work on Modern Body Labs. So that's probably another 5 or 6 hours. I'm going to my stores or working with the factory or labels. And then after that, I go, on some nights, I go back to physiques, and I train another 3 or 4 hours, depending on what's going on. The other nights I don't go back to physiques, it's because I go to my church and I do leaders meetings or services and stuff like that. But so my day is full.
Yeah, it's a hustle, man. It's a hustle, but he does what he loves to do, and that's the difference. If he did something he hated or he felt like he was forced to, it would be a drudgery. I mean, it would just be a long day.
Let me tell you this, man. When I'm driving to physiques, I'm not upset at 4 in the morning.
No,
because I'm going to train 5 amazing people that are happy to see me because they need me to motivate them. And I get to help them and watching them change. I mean, it's amazing.
And what happens? You feel fulfilled.
Oh, it's
so
great.
that's happiness,
Yeah.
right? And he's getting up at 4 in the morning because he says to get up at 4 in the morning, so he's living life on his terms, right?
You're right. I could change those hours.
Right.
I could not accept clients at that time. But you have people come to you, and that's like I have a nurse, Mary. She's shattered her hip. She comes to me. She wants to train at a time that right now is actually a little hard for me because it's a little bit later.
Okay.
But I want to see her be able to walk and go back to work, and so we did it, and she's back at work. I mean, there's nothing more fulfilling than that.
It is absolutely amazing. I did some personal training on the side before I came out here in 2008, and one of my she's a testimonial on my website, but her name's Anna Rosenblatt, right? Anna came in the gym, and I was working as a personal trainer under my buddy's gym, right? So we were kind of like they did. They would feed us clients, and then we do a split.
Yeah.
So Saturday morning, I'm training people. We were doing 2 people at a time and half-hour circuits. So Anthony calls me over and is like, Dave, come here, I want to introduce you to Anna. I come over and, hey, how are you? And she goes, oh my God, he's going to hurt me. I go, no, this is going to be fun. This is going to be fun. Now, she was probably 100 and something pounds overweight. Right. Long story short, worked together for 4 months, 5 months, almost 6 months. She got down over 60 pounds, but I didn't realize this. So I moved, came out here, we connected, and she told me that, I didn't know this, but her and her husband wanted to have their 3rd child, but the doctor said, because of your weight and because of your diabetic medications, right, you could die. Right. She got off every one of her medications except for 2, lost over close to 70 pounds, and when I came out here in the summer of 2008, she had her 3rd kid. And now when you see her on Facebook, she's kept lifestyle. She looks absolutely, so it gives me the chills, man. That's what it's about. So I get that, man.
Totally what it's about.
That's what it's about.
I'm blessed because all 3 of my businesses are that way for me. Right. Like today, I even posted it. If you go on my Instagram, this guy Eddie Reynolds, he has MS, and he got it. He's an older guy. He's my age. He's 40. He has MS. He's still killing the gym. He takes no excuses. He's a worship leader, pastor at a church, everything, right? With MS, killing it. But I gave him my stack because I said, "Hey, this is clean product for you," And he took all the Ross, and he was like freaking out today, So he sent me this video of flexing. He's like, "Oh, he's like, I've never had a pump like this, you know." And it's not just all that. Oh yeah, because it's my product. It's that satisfaction of this guy was pumped in the gym, having a blast, and he's excited. And that's no greater life than knowing I was a part of that.
And all three of your businesses are that way. It's not by mistake because that's who you are, right?
Yeah. That's
what you attract. There's no other option. That's the only way you're going to roll. And I love that, man. And on a side note, man, tell your boy I'd love to have him on.
Oh yeah.
Love to hook it up. We'd love to have him on Monster Motivator. Is he local?
Yeah.
Yeah, love to have him on Monster Motivator TV. So before we jump off, is there anything, Randy, that I didn't talk about that you want to talk about? Is there anything that you want to share? I know you have a ton of golden nuggets, man. So
there's sometimes you have so much you forget what to say.
right.
You know what? I do want to just thank a few people.
Yeah, jump in, man.
You know, when I started this business, you know, Healthy Body Nutrition in Hemet, Healthy Body Nutrition in Riverside, Mike Kaufman and Lewis, these guys believed in me first.
Okay.
And I just have to give them a shout out there. And you know what? Mike Kaufman, you know, same as this guy, if you talk to him, talk to me, talk to Mike Kaufman in Riverside, yeah, he's going to be able to explain to you what's in these bottles, you know. And I love that about him. He's a passionate guy. He's going to love you. I want to give a shout out to Matt Shear. Matt believed in me, actually helped me start this in the first place. So Matt, I love you, my brother. Thank you for doing that for me. And there's a lot of other people, my Uncle Ross, Bob Bindles, Mark Smith, just these men that Paul Pimentel that God put in my life. You guys have blessed me. And I Octane Nutrition, Cody, thank you for believing in me, brother. And but you know what, I think a lot of that, maybe just to end with, is one of my favorite quotes is this: to say, if I have seen farther than others, it's because I was standing on the shoulders of giants.
Repeat that.
If I have seen farther than others, it's only because I was standing on the shoulders of giants.
Love it, man.
And I really believe that God put amazing people in my life when I was ready for them, so that I could get up on their shoulders. And I'm going to be honest with you, what I want my life to be is to emulate that. I want to be a shoulder for somebody, that they could crawl up on my shoulders. If I could be a stage for someone, that's what I want to be. And I aim for that in church. You know, it's the same satisfaction. It's even more for me spiritually. But when someone comes after service and says, "Man, Pastor, I needed that," they start crying. "That changed my life. I needed this." You know, that's what I want to be. And I encourage you guys, man. The more that you love people, the more that you take care of people. I'm just telling you, man. And like he said in the beginning, you got to start with yourself. You do, because you can give out so much that you really aren't a help to people. So, you know, get yourself on the right track so that you can be a help to people, and then just love God and love people and continue to serve the Lord, you know.
Man, I love that, man. I love that. I want to end it with this. On everything that Randy shared today, here's what I get from it, is there's pillars, right? There's very important parts of this. Number one is knowing who you are and being good with it, knowing that who you are today is probably not going to be who you are in a few years from now, because you want, if you are, there's something wrong, right? There's something wrong.
Absolutely.
Also, what you're talking about too is he's talking about getting yourself in that right environment. How important is the right environment?
Environment is everything. You know, I mean, I learned that just from pastoring people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, who you hang out with is who you're going to be like. That's one thing Mark Smith used to tell me.
Mm-hmm.
He would take me to the board, right? We actually posted our numbers in the lobby of what we sold.
Right.
And he would take me to the lobby and he'd say, show me what you want to make. So I'd go and I'd touch a few different sales reps.
Yeah.
He'd say, now those need to be your best friends. Why aren't you going to lunch with those guys?
Right. Right.
And I didn't quite get it back then.
Right.
You know, and he'd say, no, you're going to lunch with this guy. You know, and of course his numbers were really low. And he'd say, that's why your numbers are low.
Isn't it?
It's crazy.
It's so true. And then we'll take it even a little deeper, right? Is if you want a true evaluation of where you are in your mind, look around your surroundings, because at the end of the day, I'm a big guy on responsibility. You attract those people and those circumstances into your life. Now, if you're not happy with those results, you can change it. But understand, it's not them, it's you. You're the one that's attracting those people. And that's why it's so vital to understand that Randy had to become that person to attract that millionaire preacher. If you didn't, there's no way that he would even, it would just go right over you. It would just, you would, right? It would just go right over you. So I think that's the other important part is environment, but understand that you are in charge of your environment.
You are. You can, the problem is most people let their environment change them. And you're put in an environment to change that environment. And you can absolutely change it. And you have to. If there's a lot of chaos in your life, you're bringing that in. I mean, we always want to blame everyone else. But if there's a lot of chaos, if there's a lot of confusion, you got to sit back and look at your life and say, why am I allowing this to be in my life? And then change. And it's not going to be changing others. You got to change yourself first, and then remove yourself from all those.
And what will happen is they'll actually remove themselves. You won't even have to do it. Right. They will remove themselves. Right. All of a sudden, they disappear. One of my, she was a pastor as well, but she non-denominational. And she was a very spiritual lady. When I first met her, I was going through marriage counseling, and I'm a kid from Jersey. I look at her like she had 3 heads. Yeah. And she started to talk to me, right? At first, but then it started to resonate. And here's what she said to me, and I never forget this. She said, Dave, as you raise your vibration, they're either going to come up with you or they're going to fall away. Either way, it's not your job.
Right.
And for me, it takes all the pressure off. It takes that guilt, right, of saying, hey, I don't even know this guy that I grew up with. Right. Because we're so different, right?
Yeah, I noticed that too, though, as I've changed, like you said, at my each level, friendships change, but I wasn't necessarily trying so much.
No.
It's just like, they say misery loves company.
Right.
Well, if you quit being miserable people won't want to be around
you.
But
here's the thing, so is success.
And success.
So it's success, right? Success. And again, it's becoming that person and understanding that what he keeps saying today is you can't give from an empty cup. You've got to put the oxygen mask on first. And you know who I'm really talking to? I'm talking to you moms out there, because you put yourselves second, third, fourth, and fifth. At the end of the day, you're going against nature, right? Nature, there's an alpha. The alpha protects the pack. The alpha has to be strong, alert, or else that pack isn't going to be around, right? And that mom that puts themselves second because they feel guilty, you need to stop looking at it that way, change that paradigm shift, understand that the oxygen mask goes on first, so now you can put it on, Johnny. Now you can put that oxygen mask on, right? That's where I think so many people are falling down. And what I love is this is breathing, living color, that he was able to change that paradigm shift from lack and limitation, guilt, guilt, saying no. This isn't how. This is my driver's seat. Right. This is the way it's gonna. This is what I see, and it didn't happen overnight. It's as you heard that evolution, but it can be done. You're looking at somebody live and in color. Please reach out to this guy, man. And we're gonna do a follow-up episode. Yeah. He's gonna give us an update on what's going on with all this stuff. Guys, make sure you reach out to him. Make sure you connect with him. If you can't find him, I know where to find him. And we're gonna stay connected. Me and him got some things to do.
The website, www.modernbodylabs.us.
And you're going to post that. So when you get back on, all of his stuff he's going to post, he's going to interact, he's going to thank everyone. I'm going to jump on, thank everyone. And Marion, is there anybody a comment that we didn't talk about?
Priscilla Monogram. Looking great.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Dave's looking good.
He's talking about you, man. So here's the deal. Randy doesn't know this, but I'm a big believer that you can only be in one state of mind at a time. So if you're in victim state, you can't be in gratitude state. If you're in gratitude state, you can't be in victim state. And if you could be in unstoppable state the majority of your day, how great would that be?
It'd be amazing.
And here's what life said. Life asks questions, right? We have 2 choices usually. Right. And life says, Randy, do you want to purr like a kitten or roar like a lion? Ah! Oh man, I knew it. So we do the Monster Motivator roar at the end of every show. The sound is just as important as the pose, right? And it puts you in that unstoppable state, right? And here's what it is. It's the crab. Ah! So 1, 3, we're going to come out. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Ah! That was bad. Badass, brother. All right. Guys, thank you so much for jumping on, and Randy's going to...